everyone, welcome back to Women's Yoga with Jadie. Today's class is going to be about the luteal phase of the cycle, so the days following ovulation that lead up until when we begin to bleed for menstruation. And if you are not menstruating, these can be the days of the moon waning down to the new moon. It can also be, if you have a reversed cycle, the days leading up to the full moon. So it really just depends on your body and what stage of life you're in. And layered over this, we're going to take into account that it's winter. And so the luteal phase is often a time to begin to slow down our movements, to practice grounding, and to really work on strength, actually. So we'll begin to do that in our practice. We're going to do it maybe a little slower and steadier than we might in July, for example. So that's what's coming up. Go ahead and grab your mat, grab a blanket, grab as many props as you have available. I really like to have access to things to make sure the poses feel comfortable and expansive for us. So if you have a strap, please go ahead and grab that. If you don't, grab a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. So we're going to begin to open up the shoulders today. So if your hands can't reach behind your back like this, just something to hold on to. Grab blocks or books, pillows if you have them, and a bolster for our shavasana. So grab what you have, set your space, create your sanctuary, and we'll get started. Okay, so welcome back. Hopefully you've got your space set and you're ready to ground in. So I would welcome you to prop your hips up by sitting up on a blanket or a pillow, kind of scooting to the edge so that the pelvis dips forward. And we're actually going to start today with a grounding and centering meditation. So finding a comfortable seated position, and if you'd like to, you can place one hand over the heart and one hand over the low belly or the womb space. And just begin to breathe. Inhaling. Feeling the belly expand, the chest expand with breath. And exhaling. Making space for a new breath. Inhaling deeply and exhaling fully. Good. And as you settle into the breath, begin to bring your awareness to your sit bones. See if you can allow your sit bones to get extra heavy, not through force, but just energetically feel them grounding down into the mat and into the earth beneath you. And begin to visualize a cord moving from your tailbone down into the earth. Maybe this cord is a golden yellow, and it's spiraling down into the earth further and further until it reaches the core of the earth, and it anchors in there. And you can pull it nice and tight so you are steadily fastened to the earth. You are held, and you are safe. Take a moment just to feel into, to enjoy this new rootedness that you've created. This new sense of stability. And knowing that you are rooted and fastened, see if you can begin to soften. Maybe the hips can soften, the glutes. Maybe the knees soften down and relax. Maybe you can begin to allow the belly to soften. Perhaps the shoulders soften down, the neck softens, and the muscles of the face begin to melt and soften. part the teeth and allow the jaw to soften. And from here, from this relaxed and grounded space that you've created, you can keep your eyes closed or gently open them and just keep the gaze downward and begin to move in a way that feels intuitively good to you. So maybe you take some hip circles, small movements starting out. And maybe going the other way. And just keeping in mind that this is your practice, and the goal of the practice is really to turn back inward, to come home to yourself. So your practice does not have to look like mine. This is just space holding and guidelines for you. And let's come back to steadiness for a moment. And if you haven't yet, let's blink the eyes open. Just taking a nice deep inhale, reaching the arms up, and exhaling, moving them down. Fingertips to the mat, grounding in. Again, inhaling, reaching up, lengthening through both sides of the body. And exhale, spread the arms wide and ground the fingertips down. One more inhale, reach up, lengthen up. And exhale, hands swing down, fingertips ground. Now keeping those right fingertips down, inhale the left arm up and begin to lean to the right. Good, and just holding here for a couple of breaths. Allowing that left side body to begin to open. Maybe the left side of the neck opens. And feel free to move around a little bit here. Maybe you open and close a little bit. Maybe you roll the wrist. And then coming back to center. Planting the left fingertips down and inhale through the right arm. And exhale, lean to the left. Opening the right side body. Trying to keep that right hip anchored down so it's not lifting up. So staying true to that rootedness that you've created and beginning to stretch and open from there. Good, and inhaling back up to center. We're going to take the legs nice and wide. Not too wide because we're just starting our practice, so I'm going to scoop back so you can see my legs a little better. And you can just shake them out, wiggle them out. Maybe you want to do a little tapping on the low back, on the hips, down the thighs, the legs. Good. A couple more times just to bring some circulation into the body in a gentle way. Maybe a couple of hips. And then just settle in again. Take a moment here just to pause. And just like we did in the follicular phase video, take a moment to rate your energy on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being you just want to crawl into bed and go to sleep. And 10 being you could just like get up and start dancing and jumping around the house. So just noting internally the intuitive number that comes forward for you. And then throughout the remainder of this practice, can you honor that? Can you move with your energy, not pushing past it, not forcing it to be higher, just being with it. Good, and then let's inhale, reach up, exhale, twist to the right and lean forward. So we're leaning over the right shin. You don't have to go too far. The point is to lengthen from the tailbone out through the crown of the head. So getting some length in the spine, getting a gentle twist. Maybe rolling the shoulders back and down to feel some space in the neck. Good, and then coming back up to center. Reach up, twist, and lean over the left leg. And just staying aware here, noticing, getting curious. Does the left side feel different than the right? Does your body want to move in a different way? And see if you can begin to honor that. Honor honor your intuitive knowing, your inner healer. Good. And then coming back to center, we're going to come back to a cross-legged position, and this time put the opposite leg in front, if you can remember which leg was in front. More than likely, it's the one that feels the most comfortable, so switch to the one that feels a little bit odd. And then we're going to reach for the strap. So again, if you don't have a strap, grab a belt, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, something that can help you reach your hands together behind your back. So I'm going to keep it in the right hand, and it doesn't have to be closed. It can be just in a line, completely unclasped. And I'm going to lift my right arm up, bend at the elbow, and begin to send that fist toward my shoulder blades, so right in between them. And then this left hand is going to wrap around behind me and reach for whatever part of the strap it can. And maybe you begin to walk the hands toward one another and just pull the space between the fists tight. Good. And then if it's accessible, you can begin to press the back of your skull into the crease of your right elbow. So open that up just a little bit more. Maybe getting just a little bit of a heart opener. Drawing that left shoulder down. And just breathing here. Good. And sometimes when we're sitting still, it can feel like we're not doing much, but actually we're creating so much more openness and space in our shoulders right now, and you'll probably feel that when we release, which we're going to do now. And just take a moment, feel the blood rush down the arms. I definitely felt it. And then we're going to take the strap into the opposite hand, so left hand, reaching the arm straight up, bending at the elbow, fist close to the shoulder blades. It doesn't have to get all the way down there. And then reaching that right hand back around, grabbing for the strap. And inching the hands closer together until you feel a good stretch, no pain. And if you want to, you can press the back of the skull into the crease of that left elbow. Rooting down into the sit bones, lengthen up through the spine. Good. Creating gentle opening, gentle warmth for where we're going next. And release. And you can set the strap aside and just let those arms receive that fresh oxygenated blood. And we're going to set the blanket aside. You can keep it on the mat if you want to pad your knees, and we're going to come into a tabletop position. So toes can be tucked or flat on the mat, whatever feels better in your body today, and just finding some steadiness here. And from this steadiness in the hands, in the knees, in the tops of the feet, or the balls of the feet, we're going to begin cat-cow. So inhaling, arching the back, leaning forward with the heart, and exhaling, rounding in. Inhale, arch the back, reach through the tailbone, reach through the crown of the head, and exhale, round in. Inhale, coming through the heart center, looking up, and exhale, turning in. Now allowing this to become a flow. So if this forward and backward movement feels good in your body right now, stay here. And if you'd like to begin to move in a circular motion or a figure 8 motion, just allow the body to move in a way that begins to open and warm the body. And of course, if your energy feels really low today, take a child's pose, take a resting pose. That's absolutely fine anytime throughout the practice. Switch directions if you haven't already. You can hear my knees popping, opening up, oxygenating. Good. And if you're not already, let's take the toes together, knees wide apart, and come into a child's pose. Planting the forehead down and coming back to intentionality. So coming back to the reminder of where your energy is at today and what you'd love to receive from this practice. So maybe right now you create a visual in your mind of what that looks like for you. Maybe Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's grace. Maybe it's strength. Whatever comes forward for you, begin to visualize what that would look like moving through your body and see if you can begin to create that in your practice. Let's inhale, look up, and begin to walk the hands to the right and fold again. Coming back to center, and then taking the hands to the left and folding down. Stretching again from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Good. And then walking the hands back to center. We're going to come up into a tabletop position. We're just going to do a little bit of a child's pose to cobra flow. So from child's pose, here, we're going to scoop through, coming into cobra, and then exhale round the back. And come back to child's pose. If this doesn't work for your shoulder girdle, you can just come forward and slowly lower, and then press up and come back. But if you can, try to create this fluid movement, moving with the breath. Exhaling back. Inhaling through and up. And exhaling back. Just creating some fluidity, some openness, some warmth through the spine. And you do not have to come up as high as I am in cobra. You can come all the way onto the belly and just come up this high. And then round the back and come back. Honoring your body, honoring your energy. Good. One more wherever you're at. Coming through. And meet me in cobra. So we're going to stay here on the belly. Do a little bit of stretching. So bringing the forehead down, lift the right leg up and then back. So you're getting some space in that right hip socket. Left leg, lifting up, stretching back toward the wall behind you, if there is one. And then really rooting in from there. Good. Now inhale, come up cobra, lengthen through the spine, through the crown of the head, through the toes, and really feel this stretch in the spine. And coming back down. Let's take the hands out nice and wide. They can come off of the mat. Mine are definitely off of the mat. And then inhale, coming up cobra. And you might find that this gives you a little bit more space and room, especially to open through that heart center and the shoulders. Good. One more inhale here. And exhale, lower. Good. Now, bringing the left forearm onto the mat in front of you, you're going to bend the right knee and reach the right hand back behind you. So maybe you're reaching just the toes, the top of the foot, the ankle, whatever feels most accessible for you, and then you're just gently beginning to move the heel toward the glute. Just getting a nice stretch in the quads. Continue to lengthen through the crown of the head so the spine stays nice and long. And just make sure that the heel isn't moving toward the middle. That can kind of tweak the knee. So if it's moving toward like the middle of your butt, try to pull it to the outer edge of the glutes, right by the hip. Good. One more deep breath into that right quad. And exhale, release. And then just come onto the forearms with the forehead and pause for a moment. You can shake the hips from side to side, releasing the low back, and then reset. Maybe you lift the feet up again so your hips can ground in. And lifting the head up, keeping the right forearm on the front of your mat, bending the left knee, and reaching that left hand around to the foot. So now you're getting probably a better view of what mine looks like. Not that yours has to look like this at all. And this is another pose where the strap might come in handy. So you can wrap the strap around the front of the foot, and then you can pull it from here. And pull maybe isn't the right word. Hold, we'll say hold. You don't really want to be pulling your body into the pose. Bring it over your shoulder. And this is actually really nice. Feeling those hip bones grounding into the earth beneath you, continuing to lengthen through the spine and breathing deeply into the belly and the back body. Good. And then release the strap or release your hand. Let the legs extend behind you and bring the forehead onto either the hands or the mat, whatever feels most comfortable. Just letting that lower back, the sacrum, to settle. You can rock back and forth if that feels good. Good, and then placing the hands next to the chest, next to the ribs. And then inhale, roll the shoulder blades back and lift up cobra. And exhale, press back, down dog. So first down dog of the practice, you can take your feet wider. They can come to the outer edges of the mat if that feels good for the hips. You can rock from side to side, pedal the knees out. So this doesn't have to be steady. It can be dynamic. And you get some of that same flowing motion that we did when we were doing the child's pose to cobra flow in the spine. Just waking up the body gently. And if it feels better for you to be steady and still today, perfectly fine. Settle in, ground in, move as little as possible. That's a great practice as well. And if you were moving, come into some steadiness now. The heels may not reach the mat, and that's perfectly okay. Just bend the knees a bit, send the hips straight up toward the sky. Draw the lower belly toward the spine. Roll the shoulders inward. So you don't want them to roll onto the back. That actually collapses the shoulders. So rolling them away from the spine. And that will create some strength for you. Good. Letting the head hang. Maybe you shake it out. Yes, no. And breathing. This is an incredibly grounding pose. So you can always come here. And if you need a little bit more support today, you can always place a block or a stack of pillows or a blanket underneath the top of your head. That will take a lot of pressure off. Good. One more exhale. Inhale, look forward. And begin to walk the toes toward the front of the mat. Keeping the feet hip width apart. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. And exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen out. Reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extend, keeping a gentle bend in the knees. Don't lock them out. And exhale, fold. And then here we can grab opposite elbows. You can bend the knees and create a table for your chest and belly to rest on. And gently rock from side to side. Or again, be still. Now grounding into the feet, rooting into the earth, and from this rootedness begin to lengthen up. Good. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw the energy back to your heart center. Take one hand to the heart, one hand to the lower belly. And pause here. Allow the energy to move down from the head into the earth. And if you'd like to, for a couple of breaths here, you can move your hands to help you guide the energy. So you inhale, reach up, and exhale, guide that energy down, envisioning it moving down through the body, down through the feet, down into the earth. Let's do one more. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, move the energy down. Slowly opening the eyes. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhale, place the hands and step the left foot back behind you. Take a moment here just to bend into the front knee and extend back through the hips. That front leg does not have to come all the way straight. We're just getting some gentle warm-up, some gentle movement through hips, especially that back hip. We'll see why in a minute. Good. And then let's bend the back knee and come into our low lunge. So again, back toes can be tucked, or the front of the top of the foot can be planted down. And then inhale from your rootedness, reach up and lengthen. And let's just get a gentle stretch into that front quad and front hip. So grabbing the left wrist, inhale, reach up and lean to the right. Good. Coming back to center, placing the hand down, tucking the toes. Good, and then we're going to lift that back knee up, walk the hands out in front of us, and extend the legs straight back behind us. So taking a moment just to balance here. Reaching out through that back heel, lengthening through the crown of the head, drawing the lower belly toward the spine. So we're steady, we're strong, we're stable. Good, and then bringing that left foot to meet the right. Inhale, come up halfway. And exhale, fold. Inhale, rolling up, reach up. Exhale, gather that new energy into the heart space. Good, release the hands, reach up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, place the hands and step the right foot back behind you this time. So bending into that left knee, right in line with the ankle, and you can just begin to rock forward and back. Moving some energy into that hip. Good. And the movement can be subtle. You can move this much if that's what's available in your body today. It doesn't have to be big. Good. And if you're not sure, just experiment a little bit. Try a couple of bigger movements, try a couple of smaller movements, and your body will let you know. Just don't let the mind get in the way. And bending into that front knee, dropping down the back knee, and coming into our low lunge. Good. So reaching up, lengthening up, grabbing that right wrist, inhale, lengthen, and exhale, lean to the left. Opening up that back hip. Getting into the quad a bit more. Good. And then hands come back up, place them down around the front foot. Tuck the back toe, walk the hands out in front of you about 6 inches, and then lift that back leg off and extend through the back leg. Good. Try to square the hips if you can, so you're not like leaning to the left or rolling to the right. You're finding a nice squared position. Pressing through that back heel, lengthening through the crown of the head. Good. And bringing the right foot in to meet the left. Coming up halfway to lengthen through the spine and exhale, folding. Good. Rolling back up to standing. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Good. Let's take a moment here just to place the hands at the heart and the low belly or womb space and ground in once again. So just pausing, taking an intentional check-in. Notice where your energy is at. If you found that your energy has gotten lower since we started the practice, slow down. Take rests, take modifications, come into child's pose, come into shavasana. Really listen to and honor your body. If you're getting more energy, breathe, stay where you are. Okay, inhale, reach up, lengthen up, exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back behind you. Bend the front knee, drop the back knee down, coming back into our low lunge. Good. So reach up. Find some space in that front hip, back hip. And then place the hands down. Heel toe that front foot to the outer edge of the mat. And take your right hand inside of your right foot. So we're here. You can stay here. Or you can come down onto the forearms, or somewhere in between, like this, if that's helpful to you. And try to keep that right knee from splaying out, so keeping it tucked in toward the right armpit. Good. Now from here, and you don't have to take this, but where we're going from here is we're going to bring the right forearm down, bend the left knee, and the left heel is going to come toward the glute. We're going to wrap that left hand around and reach for the foot. And stretch it in toward the outside of the glute. So you can move the right forearm to be parallel to the front edge of the mat, gives you more stability. You can come all the way up and straighten the arm. That gives you more access. So what we're aiming for here is getting a really nice quad stretch in that left quad. And rather than pull the heel toward the glute, see if you can stick the glute out, like you're sticking your butt out. Bring the left heel toward the glute and then begin to move forward. So they move forward together. Good, deep stretch. And then release, place the hands, and step back, down dog. Shake it out. Walk it out, and then plant the feet. We'll do a little bit of core work here, but we'll keep it light. So inhaling, moving forward to plank, and exhaling, lifting up, down dog. Inhaling forward to plank. Exhaling, using the abs of the core to move back into down dog. Inhale, rolling forward, pausing. Exhale from the hips, the lower belly, lift up and press back, down dog. And that's it. Not so bad, right? Inhale, look forward, and begin to walk the toes to the front of the mat, keeping them hip widths apart and fold. I don't know why that word is so hard for me. Inhale, come up halfway. And exhale, fold in. Good. Inhale, rise all the way to standing. Reach up, gather the energy, gather the strength, gather the wisdom, and bring it into heart center. Take a breath. Good. Inhale, reach up, lengthen up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, place the hands, step the right foot back, coming back into our low lunge. So come up first, find your stability. If you need one more stretch in that right hip, that right quad, go ahead and take it now. And then placing the hands down, heel toe that left foot to the outer edge of the mat. Left hand comes inside of the left foot. And maybe you hang out here for a minute, for a while, for the remainder of this pose. Maybe you want to come down onto your forearms all the way down, or part of the way if you have a block or a pillow or a book. And the knee is going to want to go like this, naturally. So we're just hugging that knee in toward the left armpit as best as we can. Good. And then we're going to place the left forearm down and bend that right knee, right heel comes to the glute, and wrap that right hand around, reaching for the foot. Good. And then holding firm. And you might find this side is totally different than the other. So for me, this side is a little bit tighter, so I'm going to come up. Good. Straighten the arm. And try to keep leaning forward. The body's going to want to open up this way, so we're using our core and our stabilizers to stay facing forward toward the front of our mat. Good. Now, to bring some extra love into this pose, maybe you want to grab a strap and wrap it around the foot. You also may like a blanket or a pillow underneath this back knee, especially if you're on a hard floor. Okay, and releasing that down. Heel toe the foot back to center, placing the hands and stepping back into down dog. So walk it out, move and stretch in any way that feels good in your body. And then come back to stability. we'll do a couple more plank to down dog flow. So inhaling forward to plank, and feel free to skip this always. And then exhale from the hips and the lower belly, lift into down dog. Inhale, extend forward. Exhale, lift up and back, down dog. One more. Inhaling, rolling into plank, shoulders right over the wrists, core drawing up toward the spine. And as you exhale from the hips and the low belly, lift up and back. Down dog. Good. Take a moment here to see if you're holding any unnecessary tension, maybe in the neck, in the face, in the jaw. And let it go. And then inhale, look forward. Walk the toes to the front of the mat. Come up halfway in length. And exhale, fold in. Inhale, rising all the way to standing. Reach up. And exhale, draw the hands to heart center. Good. So where we're going from here is to a pose called dancer pose. And we've been warming up for this. And the reason I thought of it is because it's winter. And I thought of ice skating, which takes both strength but also grace and flexibility. So that's just what came to me, the visual that came to me when I was thinking about this class. So maybe you want to visualize yourself as an ice skater when we come into this pose. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, come up halfway, look forward. Exhale, step the left foot back behind you. Bend into the front knee. And lift into high lunge. Good. So bend that back left knee a little bit, just so you can scoop the hips forward. Hug that left inner thigh in. And then from your stability, begin to straighten the back leg. And for me, that makes all the difference. Like, it feels like a completely different pose. Good. Now we're going for it. Maybe that front leg is already shaking like mine. So from here, we're going to lift off of the back leg and come into a warrior three. So give a little bend in that back knee and then lift off. And you can try this a couple of times. So if you're like really wobbly, come back. Good. Bend the back knee. And lift off. And keeping the core drawing in toward the spine is really what's going to help. And then let's try one more. Bending through the back knee. Inhale, lift off. And exhale, begin to move forward. So the arms can stay out in front of you. They can come to the sides, if that's more stabilizing. They can come to the hips. They can reach back behind you. And you might notice I have a little bend in my front knee that helps me stay stable and to help me keep my hips square. Good. And then we'll step back, high lunge. Beautiful. Place the hands, step back, plank. And you can come down, knees, chest, chin, or press up and back into down dog. So I'm coming straight to down dog. Taking a couple of breaths to ground. And checking in with the mind. If the mind is like, oh my gosh, where are we going? Where are we going? That means the nervous system has been triggered. So come back to the breath. Let it settle. Remind the body that it's safe. Remember that all of this is optional. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk the feet forward and fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, dip in. Inhale, rise up. Floating the hands and exhaling them to heart center. Alright. Release the hands down and inhale, reach up. And exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, stepping the right foot back behind you. Bending into the front knee. And squeezing the front heel toward the back toes so you feel those inner thighs fire up. And from this stability, rise, high lunge. So here again, we're going to bend the front knee right in line with the ankle. Bring a gentle bend into that back knee. Squeeze the inner thigh in toward the midline. And from this stability, you can begin to extend through the back heel. High lunge. Good, so finding some stability here first. And then if you want to, we're going to play with Warrior 3 and balancing. And from there, we'll go to Dancer. So first, Warrior 3. So little bend, deeper bend in the back knee and press up. You might find that one leg and one hip feels completely different. And then come back, high lunge. Good, bending into the back knee, lift off. And just a reminder, the hands can come out, they can come behind you, they can come to the hips. And if this doesn't feel stable at all, keep the blocks out in front of you and just work from here. Getting the same action, just a little more stable. Good. Good. Pressing the blocks away, coming back to high lunge. And placing the hands down. And here again, stepping the foot back to plank. You can come through a vinyasa or just lift the hips and press back down dog. And just a reminder that in down dog, you can always come to child's pose instead. Breathing here, letting the energy settle. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, walk the toes to the front of the mat and fold. Inhale, coming up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, drop in. From your rootedness, rise up. Reach up and gather the hands back to heart center. Good. So from here we're going to come into dancer pose and do a little practice with it. You might want to be next to a wall or a stable surface. Much like when we practice tree pose, this pose, it can be helpful to be at a wall. And some people find that they're better able to balance off of the mat, especially if you have a hard floor like this. So you can experiment with that. I'm going to start with my right leg straight and my left leg doing the bending. My right leg tends to be a little more stable, a little stronger. So first step is just getting grounded in that right front foot. Let me slide this so that you can see clearly. And then bring a gentle bend into that knee. And then you begin to bend the left knee and grab for the ankle. Again, ankle, front of the foot, toes. And with dancer, traditionally, the hand is actually on the inside of the foot, so let me come over here. Inside of the foot, but you can grab the outside of the foot if that's more accessible. Again, it depends on the rotation of the shoulders. So, bending the left knee, I'm going to grab the outside of the foot to start with. And just hugging the knees toward one another, drawing the core in toward the spine. And then reach that right hand up, and you begin to kick that foot back behind you. So what you don't want to do is like drop the chest way forward. You want to stay pretty upright in the chest, extend through the arm, but then extend through that back heel. So from the front it can look like this, and just watch that back knee, it might want to splay out. So we just keep tucking it in toward the midline. Good, and breathing and balancing. And feeling yourself as a graceful ice skater on a lovely winter day. And at least laughing, especially if balance is just not something that's available today. So I'm going to do this one from the side, the other angle, so you can see it from a different angle. So I'm going to come into all four sides of my left foot, grounding into the mat. Bring a gentle bend into the knee. And then I'm going to bend the right knee and bring the heel in toward the glute. So maybe you stay here, and that's more than enough practice. Maybe that right hand can reach around and grab the foot, or you're using your strap or t-shirt or sweatshirt and holding it. Just like this. Shoulder rolling back and down. the heel toward the outside of the glute. Maybe that left hand can extend up. And then maybe you begin to press through that right heel back behind you. And it will lean you forward a little bit, but you want to keep that chest upright. Maybe if this feels accessible, you can swap hands to the inside of the foot. Just play with it. I would look at you, but I think I'll lose my balance. Good. I'm getting just a couple of breaths, and then slowly coming back up, gently setting the foot down. Bring the hands back to heart and low belly and ground in. Good, and let's stay at the center of our mats. Take the feet nice and wide. Bring the hands to heart center and slowly bend the knees coming into Malasana, yogic squat. So you can have a block or a pillow or books propping your sit bones up, if that's helpful. If your heels tend to come up, you can put a rolled blanket or pillows underneath the heels. So just finding the option that works best in your body today. Breathing. And much like we did in the beginning of our practice, let's just send the energy down. Down through the body, down through the feet, down into the core of the earth. Maybe the elbows make contact with the inner knees, inner thighs. You can press against one another and you can lengthen a bit through the spine. Carefully setting your sit bones down onto the mat. We're going to face the front of the mat and come onto our backs. So I'm setting the blanket aside. I'm actually going to keep a block handy, and I would ask you to have one within arm's reach in just a moment. So we're going to roll down onto the back. And then just take a moment to let the back settle. Feet are about hip width apart. Feet are near the glutes. Shoulders can roll underneath you. And just settle. And when you feel the breath return like that, like it's almost an exhale, then you can move into the next pose. So maybe you're staying here today, or maybe you're going to place the hands down and begin to lift the hips up, roll the lower back up. And if you'd like to, take a block, and I recommend it on this level, so not flat, not all the way up, but the second height. So that's coming underneath me, right under the sacrum, and then just settling down. And for the endocrine system, inversions, meaning the hips are above the heart, are incredible. They're incredibly healing and restorative. But they're often some of the more technical poses. So this is a way that we can come in that's pretty gentle, but can still really be supportive in that way. And if you're feeling pretty stable here, you can begin to extend one leg up. And maybe lift the second leg up. Making sure that your block feels steady. Like it's not going to fall out from underneath you. And hang out here. You can let the legs relax. Lifting our legs up in this way is also incredibly restorative. It's a great pose to come into before bed. Or anytime you're feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to extend one leg back down and then the other, and offer you a couple of other alternatives. So you can stay here, or if you'd like to move a little deeper, you can remove the block from underneath you. You're going to place the hands underneath your glutes and begin to extend the legs up. So maybe you come here, and the hands can support the hips. You can walk the shoulders underneath you a bit. Just don't move the head from side to side when you're in this pose. Okay? And you can hang out here. So this is like a precursor to shoulder stand. And if you're feeling pretty open in the shoulders and the neck, you can let the legs extend back behind you, clasp the hands together underneath you, and come into plow pose or halasana. So the toes can be tucked under. They can come to the tops of the feet if that feels better in your body. And just hanging out here for a beat. So just making sure that the pressure is on your shoulders and not on your cervical spine. So you're going to feel weight on your shoulders and on the back of your head. And if you can stay here for about 8 to 10 breaths, that's really when the healing kind of begins to happen. So you may find that you need to work your way up to that, and that's perfectly fine. Now to come out, you can place the hands here and come to that lower position and slowly lower yourself. Or you can keep the hands down and gently roll the spine down. Good. So we're going to take the legs out straight in front of us. We're going to walk the hands underneath the glutes, bend the elbows, and lift the head. So opening that radiant heart space, allowing the neck to drop. And then straightening onto the back. Walking the hands out from underneath you, bending the knees in toward the chest, and gently rocking back and forth. Maybe you take some circles, and maybe the other way. And if you want to rock the knees from side to side, get a gentle twist in. And then just get steady for a moment and check in with your body. Is there any other movements that it's asking for? Any final poses before we come into our resting pose? This practice of listening to the body and responding accordingly, this is how we come home to ourselves. This is how we begin to trust our innate knowing once again. So if you're ready, you can gently roll to your right side, and we're going to set up for Shavasana. So if you've taken the other winter classes, you already know my favorite setup, which is to put the bolster or some pillows or rolls of blankets underneath the knees. So this is going to be really supportive on the lower back. And in the winter season, we're really wanting to protect the kidneys and the chi there. So if you've got something to put underneath the knees, that might feel really good. Feel free to come into reclined butterfly pose with the blocks under your knees if that feels good today, or laying on the bolster on child's pose, or legs up the wall. Lots of options. And then I like to have a blanket, especially in these winter months, to cover myself. Socks are great. A sweater is great if you have them. And then slowly begin to recline back And just settle in. Let the earth fully receive and support your body. Coming back to your deeper breath. Closing the eyes and turning the senses inward. Let every sound, noise in your environment be a cue to draw you back into the now, into the present moment. Check in with the physical body. Does it need to be moved or shifted to be even 10% more comfortable? Does it have any messages for you? Then checking in with the mind and the mental body. What is the quality of the mind right now? What are you noticing? What wisdom can you glean from that? Thanking it and releasing it. As you travel deeper inside of yourself to the emotional body. What sensations are arising? What is the quality and the intensity of the emotions that you are experiencing? What messages do they have for you? Connecting to your spirit body now, your soul body. Wisdom of your highest self. Maybe you just see light or color or vivid image. Receiving it with a great big yes. And feel free to stay here for as long as you like. I even in the winter time or any time recommend doing these practices by your bed, and if you feel to, crawl into bed for a little nap after. If you feel integrated and complete, you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, roll the wrists and the ankles, and we'll rub the hands together, creating some heat, some life force. And then with this buzzing, tingling energy, send it anywhere into the body that needs it right now. And if you're not sure, just send it onto the lower belly, right where the kidneys are on the back body. And just envisioning pure white light moving into these spaces, healing, cleansing, restoring. Fully receiving the gift of your own healing, and then extending out into a full body stretch. Moving slowly, consciously, you can bend the knees and roll to your right side. Pause here. And And gently press yourself up to seated. Slide the bolster out of the way. As usual, keep the blanket. I'm coming to a cross-legged position that feels okay, that feels comfortable in your body right now. And taking a moment, bringing one hand to the heart, and one hand to the lower belly, and bowing gently to the greatness within you, to the power within you, to the restorative energy and healing potency within you. Receiving your own love fully, your own blessings. Placing the hands at the third eye space, you can gently bow to what feels sacred to you right now. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below, and if you have any questions or requests for certain phases of the cycle or certain life transitions that you're going through, please leave me a comment, send me a message. I'll include my email below. I would love to build this library up for you so that you feel empowered and resourced to embody the feminine no matter what's going on in the external world. So thank you so much again, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.